Hey, what up folks? It's Alex here. I hope you're all well. Today I wanted to talk about MagicToolkit and Magic Animate. Now, if you didn't know, at the end of last year I released my Magic Animate version 3. It's a little plugin for Davinci Resolve which allows you to create simple, repeatable, dynamic animations directly on the edit page within Davinci Resolve without messing around with keyframes. It doesn't revolutionize the game, it's just there to make doing those animations much quicker, simpler, and easier. Now, there's a free version, which is completely free. You can download that right now without spending a penny. And then there's also a paid premium version. I've linked them both down below, so if you want to go check them out, you can do. So first of all, thank you. Thank you to everyone that decided to pick Magic Animate version 3 up. I've had loads of sales and I've had loads of really positive feedback. So yeah, first things first, thank you. Thank you ever so much. If you have purchased it, or even if you're using the free version, I'd love to know your thoughts. Please let me know any positive, negative, neutral comments, thoughts, feedback, whatever, down in the comments below. It's always appreciated. So I wanted to jump on and give you two different types of update. First one I want to give you is what's next. So originally I had planned to quite quickly and consecutively bring out a bunch more plugins and then sell it all as a big toolkit called the MagicToolkit. Some things happened in my personal life and I've been really busy and I just haven't been able to keep up with that. I am now months behind my original schedule. So I wanted to let you know, firstly, I apologize for that. I had high hopes of being able to bring it all out really quickly and it all kind of fell apart. But I am going to get back on that very soon. I've got a few days off with my lovely wife because it's our anniversary. And then I'm going to come back and my main priority is working on the next big thing for the MagicToolkit. So that's the goal. Don't hold me to it, but I will do my absolute best. And the original plan still stands. I'm going to try and come out with a handful of them over the next weeks, months, whatever, to build this up into this big toolkit, which hopefully solves loads of your issues so that you can just work faster and work a little bit more efficiently in Davinci Resolve to do those fancy animations. So I haven't forgot, I haven't abandoned the project or anything like that. It just, stuff got in the way. But we're going to pick that back up. And my update number 2 is just about Magic Animate version 3 itself. So the only video I ever made about Magic Animate version 3 was the original one on this channel. And that was when it first came out. Since then, it has been updated and it's much nicer. It's much more organized and it has some additional features. Now, these features were introduced into Magic Animate like 2 months ago, so quite a while ago. So if you've downloaded it within the past couple of months, you will have already had access to these features. I just never got around to making a YouTube video telling everyone else what's new, which is why we're here today. So let's jump into the edit page and jump open. So let's jump into, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to open Resolve and I'm going to show you some stuff. So let's do that. So here we are, edit page in Davinci Resolve. Now, first things first, in the effects library, toolbox, effects, MagicToolkit, Magic Animate, the first thing you'll notice if you've seen the original version is this is much better organized, it has nicer folders, and we've got thumbnails. So we've got this number 1 Magic Animate folder, which has our main 2 custom controls. We then have creator tools, which allow you to do some other simple stuff. So they're kind of the same as the main controls, but have some additional things enabled. And then underneath there, we've got presets and we've got loads of folders within here of all these different presets, which do different things. So you have access to all of this. This is all the premium version, by the way. The free version just has access to this main Magic Animate V3 tool. Next new feature we added was Zoom Pivot. So Magic Animate allows you to zoom out and, of course, zoom in. And one of the things that a lot of people wanted was the ability to change the point that you're zooming in to. Now, this ability kind of comes from my Magic Zoom tool, which is completely free. It's still available, still works fine, by the way. That's linked down below. But we've kind of incorporated some of that ability within Magic Animate. I am still going to work on a new version of Magic Zoom as well. But for now, within Magic Animate, you can do some nice pinpointing on your zooms. You can do it via the Magic Animate saver, or I've also made a zoom ins little creator tools. So we're going to use the zoom ins. And all this really does is it has the zoom in set by default, so you don't have to go around changing the amount, and it does also work slightly differently with the shake, which I'll get back to in a moment. So I'm going to just tick my zoom ins, it's going to zoom in, and then we can change the pivot like so. And if we enable our little fusion overlay, bad example, it's kind of green on green, but there it is. You've got your little handle, you can move this around and you can change the point that you're zooming in to. You can then, of course, save this into user presets so you can customize them as you like. But I also added, right at the bottom of here, a bunch of zoom presets. So we've got a bottom left, bottom right, bottom, center, yada, yada, yada. So let's get rid of this. I've got one here called Your Center, and it just adds a bit of yaw and zooms into the middle. You could then customize that however you wish, save it into your own user presets, and again, you get the idea, custom zooms. Sorted. Now, talking of saving your own things back into Davinci Resolve, the downside to Magic Animate is it has all of these calculations going on in the background, which can sometimes slow things down. Within the Saver tool, which of course allows you to save these back in, I added the ability to turn off things that you didn't want to use. That both cleans up the user interface and it makes the performance much better because it's not doing unnecessary calculations in the background. However, I've sped up the whole process by adding an auto disable button. So we've got a brand new saver on here, and let's just toggle on zooms. I don't know, give it some spins and some dissolves. Let's change the zoom spin amount, whatever, something like that. And it's going to go wee, like so. Now, in the admin page, there's an auto disable button at the very top. We hit that. We don't have to come through and disable everything like we used to. Go back to the controls page, and we now only have access to zooms, spins, and dissolves. And all of the other things are no longer doing the calculations in the background. So the whole little plugin, little animation will run smoother. Of course, you can come back to admin at any point, and you can enable any of the things that you do want access to, and then they will reappear. Simple. Now, using the ins and outs is great. It's super handy to be able to do that. But one of the main things that people really like about this tool is the mid animations, being able to do shakes and have things move around during the middle of the animation, which is much harder to keyframe. You have to go and use expressions or modifiers or whatever. Now, my previous attempt at this was really fancy, but it was a little bit complicated. So you could do funky stuff, but you would have to spend some time setting it up. I've since added a different shake ability. Now, the shake ability is essentially the camera shake function within Fusion, but I've just tweaked it a bit, changed some of its wording, changed how it works ever so slightly, and it allows you to do some shaky stuff really quickly and really easily. So for this one, we're going to use the Resolve logo. Let's grab Saver, drop that on there, and let's do a zoom so it pops in like so. Let's turn everything off so it works nice and quickly, and then we've just got this little zoom in like so. Now under mids, we have shake, and if we just turn that on, we have all of these controls. So if we hit play, it's just going to do a little bit of a shake for us. We can increase the motion scale, the speed scale, and we can add some super efficient motion blur as well. We can change the in and out curves, so kind of how quickly this shake ramps in and out. And then in this shake movements, we've got like the horizontal scale. So if we increase that, it's going to have loads of left and rightness. We can knock the vertical down so it's just left and right. We can add loads of rotation. You can't see it. Let's do that right up, and let's bring that up. So it's having a little bit of a wobble. We can also then add zoom as well. So it zooms in and out like so. We can change the zoom type to inwards. And it's going to do a little bounce and a little shake like so. That's a little bit crazy, but you get the idea of how it works. There's also randomness. So you can come in, you can change all of this to get it looking however you want it. Have some fun with it, mess around with it. That's obviously a little bit crazy, but you get the idea. You have access to all these different types of shakes that are really quick, simple, and easy to customize. Next up, masks. So in the original one, you could do a rectangular mask. You could customize it to make it square if you wanted, but it's rectangular by default. And then you also had a circular and ellipse mask. They all worked really well, but I wanted to add some additional control, so I added a polygon mask. And that allows you to do a mask on the edit page of any shape and size that you like, and the border still works as well. So we're back to using this example. We'll drop the saver on there, In Magic Animate, we're going to jump to Masks, and there's an option down here, Enable Polygon. We'll click that, and our screen is going to go black. What we need to do, under our preview, make sure you're on the Fusion overlay, and then you can simply click around, make whatever shape you like, complete it, and there you go. You've got your custom little mask. You can adjust all these edges, you can move them around, you can smooth them, you can do all the stuff that you'd expect. Then scroll down and enable the border, and there you go. We have a colored border. Change the color, do whatever you want to that, and job done. Something cool to mention here, there's this filter. So by default, it's kind of hard to see, let's zoom in. You've got these kind of rough, pointy edges. If we change this filter to be circle, you get nice circular edges. And it just makes the whole thing look a little bit nicer. The animations still work with this. So within this masks area, we can actually have this to be animated. So now it's an animated mask. So the mask pops in. And of course, you can then go and save this and it will save that custom Polygon mask at the same time. And talking of saving, this isn't a new process, but I wanted to just whip through it really quickly. So we've got our little animated mask on here. We've gone to admin and we'll do an auto disable to make sure it runs nice and smooth. To save it into our effects library, we simply click on save. And as you can see, there's some instructions in here. We need to jump onto Fusion and then do a Control-C. So we click on this little icon in the top right-hand corner to open in Fusion. Then from here, we highlight the actual node down here and then do a Control-C or right-click and copy, whichever you prefer. And then there's type. We can change that if we need to, although it should default to the correct one depending on what you're using. You can set up a custom folder if you want to, and then you give it a name. So I'm going to call this Squiggles, and then simply hit save. It'll give you a little status message down here to let you know if it's worked. And hopefully, if we jump back now over to the edit page, within effects, MagicToolkit, Magic Animate, we now have a number 4 user presets, and within there we have Squiggles. So we can delete this one, grab Squiggles, drop it on there, and it's always going to be in our effects library ready to go. Next up, Magic Background. One of my original Magic Animate version 2 tools had something in it called Magic Background. I've adopted that, kind of tweaked it, made it, I think, better, and it now exists within Magic Animate version 3 as well. So for this one, let's just grab this clip again for an example, and then we're going to grab, in this created tools, we have generator background. So we're going to drop that straight on our footage like so. And it's going to look like nothing has happened. In the inspector, we have all of the same controls we usually would. So we can zoom, we can whip, we can spin, and all that is going to be applied to this footage. However, there's a BG little tab at the top. And from here, we can add a little background logo. So we're going to go to browse, because what you have to do is actually browse your system for the logo, for the PNG. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this PNG down here of just the Resolve logo. You need to make sure your PNG hasn't got loads of numbers at the end if it's in a big folder, because that can mess things up. But let's just grab this Resolve logo PNG. And if we go back to controls, let's just move this out of the way. And there you go. So you've created this background with that logo, which means if we was to animate this as a whip, for example, we've got it in the background. Or another example, let's do a zoom. Let's make it zoom out a little bit. So if we want to just demo something, we want my video clip to just zoom out, but then show this funky background, we can do. Now within the BG area, we can change the size of the logo, the separation, the angle, the stagger angle. So that's kind of the angle of the entire thing, how much movement we have, and even the movement angle itself. There's also then a bunch of additional controls, like we can add a drop shadow to the logo. We can change the color of the background behind the logo. We can change the brightness levels. We can add a vignette. We can add a blur, which I really like. So we can give this a bit of a blur, like so. And then there's also a fake kind of tilt shift effect, which I've made as a fake effect because then it will work on both the free and studio versions of Davinci Resolve. So now we've got this nice kind of tilt shift looking blur effect thing. And then we've also got a TV effect, which will put grid lines on it. It will look weird on a small screen, but if we make that big screen, like so, you can see it's working pretty well. We've got noise, we've got scan lines. It looks pretty funky, I think. And then we've also got perspective. So we can enable that and then start to tweak the perspective, move that around, full screen that, hit play. And there you go. Now, obviously, the more things you enable, the chuggier it's going to run, but it's not too bad, and I think it looks pretty cool. Now, one of the nice things about that is because you're picking that PNG up off your system rather than out of your effects library or media pool, even, rather than out of your media pool, when you save this generator background effect, it will always remember what image, what PNG, what logo you're looking to. So I recommend that you just set a logo up on your system somewhere, you know, save it in a space, a nice folder that's nice and secure and isn't going to get renamed or moved. And then every time you use this effect, it's always going to go and grab that logo for you, so it's ready to go. Now, I'll demonstrate how that works in the next new edition, because I also made that background generator as a generator. So an effect has to be applied to a clip. So I applied that one to that droney shot of the beach, and then you move that out of the way and you can see the background underneath. Sometimes you may just want the background itself because you want to put a title over the top of it or whatever. I made a couple of generators which do exactly that. So these, of course, sit under generators, MagicToolkit, Magic Animate. There's only two of them. There's an image generator, I'll come back to in a second, and then there's Magic Background. So we'll put this on. This doesn't need to be applied to anything because it's a generator. It sits as its own thing on the timeline. And then we go to browse. So I'm being naughty and just using my downloads because I'm lazy. We're going to grab that. We can tweak this however we want. Let's just give it some perspective. Like so. And then we've got this real simple little animated background-y thing. Same as you usually would. You go to save. We have to jump onto the Fusion page to get this to work. So we're going to click on our little icon. We're going to do a copy. And then we're going to give it a name. I'll put res logo. We can change where it saves and we can give it a custom folder if we want to. And then we hit save. And then if we jump back over to the edit page, MagicToolkit, Magic Animate, we now have a user preset, res logo. Let's delete that. Anytime now, we just grab that. It's got all of our tweaks on it and it's automatically going to go to that folder and pick up that logo, which is perfect for using your own logo. Handy, right? Now, sometimes you may want to use your own logo or a subscribe button or some other PNG, some other image, whatever it may be, without using it as a background. That's where the other little generator comes in, the last thing I'm going to show you in this video, and that is the image generator. So, creator tools, in the generators, image generator. Once again, it sits as its very own thing on the timeline. And we're going to go to browse. Same again. Let's grab the Resolve logo. We'll zoom this out and let's just pretend I want this to quite often pop in the bottom left-hand corner of my videos. So I've put it down there, bottom left, and we can change the size, we can change the aspect, the angle, all that sort of stuff. We then have all of the usual Magic Animate controls. So let's do a little zoom and a dissolve as well. Keep it nice and simple. So now when we hit play, it's just going to zoom and dissolve in. Let's also do some little shaky jake on there. It's a bit much, but, you know, gives you the idea. Got to shake. We've also got masks, so we can do loads of stuff with that. We then go to admin, auto disable to get rid of the stuff we don't want this to do. And then we can go to save. Once again, let's jump into Fusion. Quick copy on that. I'm going to call this one res logo again. Nice. That makes sense, doesn't it? But there you go. Save that. Back to the edit page. We can delete that now. And within our effects library, MagicToolkit, Resolve logo again. Lengthen that out. Let's put some footage underneath so we can see what this is actually going to do. And wherever that generator is, the Resolve logo is just going to zoom in and do whatever we told it to do. And again, completely dynamic. We can shorten that and it will just go away, and we can cut it in half, and then we've got two of them. And if we wanted a second version to animate in a bit differently, we just open up the controls within the inspector, tweak it, change it, do whatever we want, save it, and then we have a second version within our user presets, or we could even make a third folder, and it's all good to go. That's the updates I've already done to Magic Animate version 3, and that's a summary of what's coming up. I apologize this video was so long. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, and I will see you all very, very soon indeed. See ya.